I've decided it's a good decision to support my wife better and come to these early in the morning instead of just sleeping in.
Can you get your blood drawn instead of me?
I would love to if I could do that.
Okay,
I
let's
don't
go.
think it's going to matter as much. So.
Hi guys, it's Carissa. I just got home from my appointment, and as you saw, Mike went with me this morning. He decided last night that he wanted to go whenever he's able to because he starts work later in the morning than he used to. So the days that he's either off or he's able to go, he said he wants to go with me, which is really sweet of him. I think it's nice because it gives me less of a chance to back down if there's something that I'm planning on, being kind of firm about in the future. He'll definitely make sure that, things get said or questions get asked. And it's not that I avoid it entirely because it's uncomfortable or for whatever the reasons are that I don't want to say things, but sometimes I just forget or sometimes the situation doesn't call for it. So that's kind of nice. And it's not that he doesn't know what goes on, but I think it's just hard for him to see it, to see us discussing, if one of my veins has had too much going on and if I have to pick a new spot and, seeing have my blood drawn and just the whole procedure. But he was really tired this morning and really quiet, and I tried to kind of ask him what he thought about everything. And because, today's appointment was kind of like a lot of the other ones, it's not super eventful. There wasn't much to say, but he basically, I think, he's getting to the same point I am, where we just want some action. We want things to happen and we want forward progress. So we kind of had some today, which is good news. The ultrasound showed, okay, well, here's my only beef with today, is that I had a very delicate ultrasound tech today. She doesn't put the probe in far enough a lot of the time, or she's just not as aggressive as she could be. And it's funny because they range so greatly. I mean, there's one nurse, she's perfect. She knows where everything is. It's very minimally invasive. Then there's another one who practically blows my vagina out every time she does it. And then there's this one who it's almost like she's just trying to be a little bit too delicate. And so I don't know how much I trust her measurements. And like I said, seeing the doctor always seems to be very precise, but she measured everything. The left side looked really fuzzy. I don't know if it's because the probe wasn't in far enough, but the left side just has like nothing going on. And there are follicles there. There's probably still about 6 to 8 of them, roughly. But they're all still kind of the same size and not really doing anything. The right side looked significantly larger to me today, which was a good sign. And that cluster that I was talking about yesterday looked larger as well. The white spot in it looked smaller. So it looked like one of the follicles in that cluster might be close to a 12. But again, sometimes those measurements are overshot. So I'm just kind of being conservative in my head and thinking it may not be that large. And then the rest of them were right behind it at 11. So there was definitely significant growth in one day. And she said that she wants me to stay on the 225 units tonight and tomorrow night, and then possibly start the Cetrotide tomorrow night. But I've heard that before, so they're gonna look at my blood work when it comes back. And when Mike and I left the ultrasound room, the doctor saw me and she said, "Oh, did you have growth?" And the nurse went over everything that she saw and, what her plan was for me. And she was like, "Great, we will confirm it with your blood work and talk to you later, but otherwise, it's a good plan. Everything looks good." So I am very pleased with that. And here's my hope, is that with boosting my meds, that I get maybe a couple on my left side to kind of be contenders to be part of it. I guess I'm just hoping for I have no way of knowing about quality. So at this point, I can only hope for quantity and hope that I get a few extras because the egg freeze is so unknown. But I'm really excited to do it now because it looks like it's going to be possible, because the one follicle that's larger isn't significantly larger than any of the others. So I think that's exciting. I know Mike's excited for it. And I did want to say, while I have my computer pulled up, I had a comment from, I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it says Uba Love, I believe. I just want to let you know that your comment was beautiful. It made me so happy, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you following my journey and everything that I have gone through and supporting that. But you also asked me a question, and I can't answer you because, I don't know, it's probably a Google Plus thing, but I don't have the possibility. And there's a lot of you that I can't respond to your comments because the little reply button doesn't come up. So you asked me, when I brought up adoption a couple videos ago, how that, like, what that means in my TTC journey. And we are not by any means at the point where we are ready for adoption or where we're emotionally invested in making that our priority. Our priority is to basically exhaust fertility treatments until I'm probably like 35 or 36. I will do this for a few more years. I'm willing to. And I certainly can do things to improve my health, my weight, my egg quality, whatever I can do, I will and am doing. But I know the adoption process is an option. If we're able somehow to magically come up with the funds, we may have to take out a loan, I don't know. But it's certainly more money than we would ever actually have, especially because we've put so much towards our fertility treatments, supplements, our appointments, all of that. But I want to know if it's a possibility, because the only way we would be able to afford adoption, because judge us if you want to, which I don't think is right, because obviously what we're going through right now is something that comes very easily to most people. So most women can just decide, hey, I'm going to, and Uba, I'm not talking to you right now, I appreciate your comment, but I know there are other people who would say, you know, why don't you get a government-assisted child, you know, a child with special needs, or, you know, a baby with like drug history, things like that, that wouldn't even cost me anything, really. You know, I would just have to take classes with the state and things like that, and they would actually, you know, help support me to raise that child. And that's nothing that we are really at this point looking to take on. And I think there's a lot of people who would think that's selfish, or there are people who would think that that's ridiculous, because if it's the option that we would have, you know, versus like a private adoption or an international adoption that would cost a lot more money, you know, people would probably look down on us for not considering that. But what's unfair is that we should be able to make that kind of a choice without judgment, because there are women who can just get pregnant one time in the back of a car behind a movie theater without even wanting to or trying. And so, you know, if somebody's able to have their own child that easily, and it's something that comes to them and it's their own natural biological child, we should be able to have that if that's what we desire. And if the next best thing, you know, to us ends up being adoption or whatever it is, we want to do it the way we want to do it. So that's why I say we can't afford it. And that's why I say that I'm looking into seeing if we have adoption assistance as a benefit through Mike's new job. I know that there are not a lot of jobs that provide that. I have worked at some in the past that I know really, they really advertised it a lot, and they really made it a big selling point to work there, because it was one of the benefits that they boasted, like a 50%, I think that they like matched your cost or whatever. So I know that that's unlikely, but if we were to have to look into adoption, I'd rather start now. and get a lot of the information that I would need on our state and just the things that we need. I'm not going to aggressively or very actively look into it until I know if we would qualify for any kind of help through Mike's job benefits. If that's not the case, then that is not, unfortunately, something that I think we can do. We would be having to save for a very long time, which I'm willing to do, but it's a lot of money, and that's hard to save that much money in a short period of time. So that's basically, like Jillian Michaels, she and her partner were going through fertility treatments, and that wasn't working, and they were still trying. So they started the adoption process. For them, her partner got pregnant right at the same time their adoption went through. So they ended up with 2 children in like a short window in like 6 months time or something. But that's kind of how a lot of people do that, is they have to start and look into things. And I'm just kind of mentioning it and kind of putting it out there, like into the universe and into my own brain and into Mike's brain, so that we can look into it and see what's possible and see what we're able to do. And I think he's going to be looking into that today or Monday, but it's hard. It's a hard thing to consider. It's a hard thing to decide. But I appreciate you asking, because I know I did just kind of bring that up out of nowhere, but that's just sort of why I said that. So I'm still, in terms of fertility, in the world of fertility, I guess, I'm still relatively young. In the next 2 or 3 years, though, if things don't look better, we really will have to make other plans. And something that could take a really long time, we should probably get the groundwork done on first. So I hope I didn't ramble too much about that, but it's a sensitive subject. It's hard to consider it, but I think that our hearts and minds are much more open to that now than they would have been even a year ago. So that is it. I go back on Monday to see what my growth was from today until then. I hope I do stay on the higher dose, but if they have their own reasons for changing that and for not putting me on the Cetrotide and all that kind of stuff, that is fine with me, because I don't at this point feel like there's anything better that we could be doing. So that's it. I hope you guys have a good weekend. If you're into football and all that stuff, enjoy that. We're not, so. Okay, I'll talk to you later, guys. Thank you so much.